with Senator Ted Cruz. Welcome, Senator Ted Cruz.
Well, look, it was calm, and I thought it was good that we didn't get into, the last few debates had gotten really ugly. I mean, you'd seen a couple of the candidates on the stage just insulting each other, talking about each other's body parts. I mean, listen, I have no opinions whatsoever on any part of Donald's anatomy, and I'm glad we made it through the entire debate without any discussion of it. Yeah, no, it was that was definitely an improvement.
There's so much at stake for our country. Look, we started out with 17 people, and I've said this to my radio and TV audience, unless Senator Rubio and Governor Kasich show that they can win states and compete, it's really a two-person race now.
I think that's a simple matter of math. To become the Republican nominee, you need 1,237 delegates. There are only two candidates that have any path to that.
So you're in the semifinals.
That is where we are. We've got 361 delegates. Donald has 99 more delegates than I do. So we are within 100 of each other.
Florida, Ohio, Illinois, North Carolina, all coming up.
And Missouri, don't forget Missouri.
Show me state. Florida and Ohio are winner take all.
Yep.
Big contest.
Sure.
How do you define victory Tuesday night?
Well, listen, we're competing everywhere. We're competing here in Florida, we're competing in Ohio, Illinois, North Carolina, Missouri. I mean, we're running a national campaign. And what we've seen so far in the primaries is that we're winning victories all over the country.
How exciting it would be to have a brokered or contested convention. Mitt Romney seemed, Governor Mitt Romney, it wasn't me, why are you booing me? Mitt Romney seemed to lay out a strategy that says, oh, Marco should win Florida and Governor Kasich should win Ohio. Why do I believe, you also heard about this big meeting in Sea Island, Georgia.
Yeah.
I think there has been an effort from the very beginning to prevent you and Donald Trump from getting the nomination, but the people have spoken otherwise. Yeah. What do you believe that there is an effort now to make sure that neither one of you gets to 1237, and that in a brokered convention, in comes the establishment, and they'll offer a, quote, candidate that will, a compromise candidate. Do you agree with me that that's what their strategy is?
Look, there's no doubt that there are folks in the Washington establishment that's their fevered dream. Go to a brokered convention and parachute in their chosen candidate, and they're frustrated because they've had a whole bunch of chosen candidates, and every one of them the voters keep rejecting. And
this is really important. If we get to that point, and this came up in the debate last night, Trump said whoever has the most delegates should be the person. Do you agree with that?
Look, there's a difference between a brokered convention and a contested convention. A brokered convention it's deadlocked and Washington comes in and brings you someone brand new. I think that would be an absolute disaster. Yeah, 76 is a contested. Look, if Donald and I come in and we're neck and neck and neither of us are at 1237, then it's a battle for the remaining delegates. Right. Then that's actually how a convention operates.
That's right.
Now, I don't think we need to do that. My object is simple. We're going to get to 1,237 delegates.
I go on Twitter, I go on Facebook, I go on social media. Boy, passions are high right now. I got to tell you, they're very, very high. And you will be proud. Your supporters on social media are extremely some big endorsements this week. You got the great one, Mark Levin. You got Mike Lee. Two narratives that I do see emerge, and I want to give you a chance to answer this. Okay, can Ted Cruz win a general election? These are not my People like Mitch McConnell are still so angry at you. How do you work with him if he's the Senate Majority Leader? Those are the two issues that I read the most.
Right. Well, look, let's take the first one, a general election. What is abundantly clear, if Donald Trump is our nominee, we get killed in the general election. Yes. You look at poll after poll after poll, Hillary wallops Donald. The last poll I saw, Hillary was beating Donald by 8 points. Those very same polls, poll after poll after poll, show me beating Hillary Clinton head-to-head. If you look at the people we're turning out, the states we're winning, we're seeing record turnouts. I mean, record-shattering turnouts. Republican turnout is dwarfing Democratic turnout.
Why do you think that is? Why is this happening? Is it because of the 8 disastrous years of Obama? It's part of it, right?
People are frustrated, they're angry. People's wages are stuck. You can't get jobs, opportunities going away, and you've got a federal government that doesn't listen, doesn't care, and people are ready for a change. There
is such palpable anger towards Republicans. If you look at all these polls, exit polls, states, it's 65% of Republicans feel betrayed.
Yes.
They think the Republican Party has, and as a conservative, I'm a registered conservative, I feel betrayed.
Of course.
I feel let down, I feel disappointed. And I gotta believe that your popularity is rooted in the fact that you stood there and you took on your party, but you're hated for it.
Yep.
Yes.
So, and go back to the promises they made and actually fulfill the promises that they stood for.
You know, you do it the same way Reagan did. You know, if you think about the last time we broke the Washington cartel, the corruption, the bipartisan corruption in Washington, it was 1981. It was the Reagan Revolution. And what happened was, Reagan didn't go to Washington, sit down with the old bulls and say, come on, guys, we've got to stand for something. He knew that was hopeless. Instead, he took it to the people and built a grassroots army. And that's another way and held Washington accountable. So the two big legislative initiatives I'm campaigning on: repealing every word of Obama. Passing a simple flat tax and abolishing the IRS. Could I do that in Congress now? No. Why? Because all the lobbyists, all the special interests, let's take the IRS code. It's filled with carve-outs and subsidies and special handouts. That's what Washington does.
Does anybody here? You guys get this? I don't get these carve-outs. Take my money.
And that's the beauty of a flat tax, is that all goes away, and the lobbyists, their power base goes away.
Because I think that's what people want to know. I really believe in my heart that if Republicans do another promise like repeal and replace Obamacare, but won't use the constitutional authority of the purse, or if they promise they'll stop executive action and they end up funding it, if there's one more broken promise, I think it's the straw that breaks the camel's back to the Republican Party.
Sean, you're exactly right. And could I get Republican leadership to do those now? Not in a million years. They're too captive to the lobbyists. The way you change that is I intend to make 2016 a referendum on repealing Obamacare and abolishing the IRS. With a mandate from the people. But there is also a second thing. In every battle we've had with Obama, we've seen what happens, which is we end up not winning the battles because Republican leadership preemptively surrenders. There's a difference when you have a conservative in the White House that says, if you send me a bill that's filled with corporate welfare, that's filled with pork, I will veto it. That's what a strong...
What are you going to replace it with? Because I know more people, average increases around the country for Obamacare this year alone, and I'm sure you're feeling it here in Orlando and Florida, is up to 40 and 50%. Look, I mean, it's unaffordable. We're not saving $2,500 a year. We didn't keep our doctors. We didn't keep our plan. We were lied to.
You are exactly right, and Obamacare is a disaster. Number one, it's the biggest job killer in this country. So if you're a young person coming out of school, you're wondering, why can't I get a job? One of the big reasons is small businesses are getting crushed with Obamacare and they can't afford it. People are getting their hours forcibly reduced. You know how many single moms in Florida are waiting tables or working 2 or 3 part-time jobs? They're at 28, 29 hours a week because Obamacare kicks in at 30 hours a week. You know, and beyond that, what Obamacare is doing to our health care. Millions of Americans have lost their health insurance, have lost their doctors and their premiums. How many people here have seen your premiums skyrocket? And not only are you paying more, but your deductible's higher, your copay's higher, it covers less. You know, my wife Heidi said to me the other day, why are we writing all these checks for medical bills? I mean, our premiums have gone through the roof. And I said, well, our deductible's so high that as a practical matter, we don't have insurance. If you go to the doctor, you just pay for it, write check after check after check. That's what Obamacare has given us. And getting rid of it, repealing every word of it, will lift a burden off small business. Absolutely. And healthcare reform, listen, everyone recognizes we're not done once we repeal Obamacare. That we've still got a problem, and we need to expand competition. We need to empower patients so that you can make your healthcare decisions with your doctors without government getting in the way. Number one, allowing people to buy health insurance across state lines. That creates a national 50-state marketplace that drives down cost and expands the availability of low-cost catastrophic care. Number two, what you just mentioned, expanding health savings accounts so you can save in a tax-advantaged way for more routine health care. And then number three, we need to make health insurance affordable so that it goes with you from job to job to job. If you lose your job, you don't lose your health insurance. And personal and portable and affordable is much more attractive than the disaster we got. Spending money it doesn't have.
I've always liked the penny plan because it's simple. You cut 1 cent out of every dollar every year for 6 years, and you get to a balanced budget. But that's part of it. What would you do?
The only way you can do it is, number one, with strong conservative leadership in the White House, backed up by the people. And, you know, one of the striking things last night, in the entire course of the debate, it became very evident that Donald Trump has no solutions to any of these problems.
I think the question most people want to know is, how do you get to a balanced budget? I mean,
but the
eliminate
key,
baseline budgeting.
all of that matters, but the most important piece, if you want to turn around the deficit and the debt, is economic growth. If we stay at 1% and 2% economic growth, the math doesn't work. You can't cut enough. And Donald, at the end of the day, doesn't understand where growth comes from. Because Donald, he said a lot of times, he said, listen, nobody knows the system better than he does. And he may well be right, because Donald is the system. He is Washington. And notice his perspective. Donald's perspective is government is the answer to everything.
That's right.
That whatever the problem is, we need more government. And to every issue, he doesn't really disagree with Obama and Hillary on substance. He just says they're not doing a good enough job. He'll negotiate a better deal with socialized health care and Obamacare. And here's the key. If you want economic growth, you know 2 words that never come out of Donald's mouth? Small business.
That's right.
The economy is about giant corporations, New York billionaires sitting down with politicians, whether it's Hillary Clinton or John Boehner, and suckling off government and getting rich at the expense of the working men and women.
Right.
Listen, to heck with big business, the focus of growth has got to be small business.
It seems to be a two-pronged approach we need. And that is, one, I think government needs to spend a lot less.
Absolutely.
I would cut a lot of government, maybe not the military. I think our military is deteriorated. And then the other part is the growth factor. Energy independence would add to that.
Hugely.
Corporate inversion, allowing companies, corporations to repatriate.
Right.
There are trillions of dollars overseas. So those are solutions to me. And that's part of your economic plan. Explain how the flat tax gets people out of poverty and back to work.
All right, so let's start with spending, because that was the first part of your question. I've laid out a very, very detailed spending plan, $500 billion in specific spending cuts. Did you notice last night in the entire debate, Donald was not willing to list a single thing he would cut. He wouldn't list an agency, he wouldn't list a program. I asked him, when have you ever stood up to a Washington lobbyist on anything? He couldn't point to a single instance. Donald and Hillary are the flip side of the same coin. They are instead. Now, listen, why do other candidates not do what I've done, which is specify exactly what I'd cut? Because you tick off all the lobbyists. All the people getting the money are real unhappy when you say, I'm cutting your money. And they don't want to get attacked. And if we're going to turn Washington around, you've got to demonstrate the courage to take on Washington. It's not being an insurgent simply to yell a lot and curse and insult people. That doesn't make you an insurgent. It just makes you human.
Today on solutions, but you brought up Donald Trump a lot. When he says he's going to build a wall, when he tells me he's going to make America energy independent, relax, all right? And he supports the penny plan. Do you just not believe him? Do you think he's... Do you not believe... For example, you don't think he would build the wall. You think that's all talk?
Well, it's interesting. I mean, it was reported that Donald told the New York Times editorial board that he wasn't going to build the wall, that he wasn't going to deport everyone. That he said he went to Manhattan just a couple of months ago, and he told the New York Times, said, listen, guys...
He said it was flexible.
No. Okay, that's what he claims he said, but he hadn't released the tape. What was reported is that he told them, listen, I don't believe this language I'm using of an immigration. I'm just saying it because it scares people and makes them vote for me, but I don't intend to do it. And he since claimed all he said is it's flexible, but he has, if he releases the tape, we can all see the fact that he won't release the tape. Donald is killing us. Here's the difference. As president, Donald said he'll be a completely different person the day after he's elected. He'll be the most politically correct person on earth. So, Sean, I will be the exact same person the day after. Who would you like for his VP? Here's a question. How about Hannity?
Alan West!
Is that your little girl in the middle? Oh, I don't want to tangle with anybody.